What up, boys, and welcome back to yet another Dragonflight video. So in today's video, we're talking a bit about solo gold making, because it's one of the most frequently asked questions is, student, can you please feature more solo gold farms, and what is the best solo gold farm, and all of that. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. But firstly, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that way you'll be notified whenever these videos goes live, so you can jump on the farm as soon as possible before the gold per hour goes down. And we are so close to 100,000 YouTube subs, and I never thought that this day would come when I first started making horrible Diablo videos like 8 years ago. So big thank you, and as promised, as soon as we reach 100,000 YouTube subs, I'm going to do millions of gold in giveaway to you guys, the subs. And it goes without saying, the support as well for the 0 to 10 million gold guide, out of this world. It's been insane. So big thank you. And if you haven't picked it up yet, make sure to use the code Dragonflight and you'll get it for 50% off. And just know that this is not like a one-time thing and then it gets expired. It comes with a lifetime of free updates. So I've been updating this book for over 2 years now. So if you get it today, you will get the updates automatically directly sent to your email whenever the next patch is out, the next expansion, and so on. So you can find that link down below in the description. Firstly, solo gold making. Well, the reason why there's a majority of group farm videos going up on YouTube from me and everyone else is because Blizzard has designed the game in favor of group farming. Because in the old days, when you had a group of 5 people killing one mob, only 1 out of 5 people could loot that mob. So if you had 5 people in the group, you killed 5 mobs, everyone could loot 1 mob each. That's not the case anymore. If you have 5 people in a group, you kill 1 mob, all 5 people can loot that mob and they will all have different loot, because loot is personal. Now, that alongside with hyper spawning has just made any farm where you kill stuff, it's pointless doing it solo. When you can bring a friend that's going to be twice as good, you bring 2 friends, it's going to be even better, and so on. So that's why there's, in the current content Dragonflight, there's not any farm that makes sense to do solo whatsoever. That's just basically kill shit, get loot, right? So you're kind of forced to do solo farms that depends on professions, right? And then skinning, it's kind of the same thing, because people do 2x4 skinning now. So the prices on the skinning mats are kind of priced of with the amount of leather and scales that you can get in a 2x4 farm, because the supply is so goddamn high. The demand is also high, but because of people doing 2x4 farms, it's just not efficient, or super efficient at least, to do solo skinning, which was one of the best farming professions in Shadowlands, but now with the regional auction house, and they made it possible to do group farm skinnings towards the end in the Seraph Mortis patch in Shadowlands. So that's kind of out of the book. Fishing was extremely good early on. Insane gold per hour, like easily over 100,000 gold per hour, because it was locked behind Renown with the Tuskars, but now most people are caught up to that. So the gold per hour, not the best. So it's going to leave you with a couple of options. And option number 1 is herbalism and mining, which is honestly so goddamn good. It is super solid. You can make a lot of gold. However, there's some people that have tried it out. They're like, skinning and herbing sucks, right? And newsflash, they're doing it wrong, because due to the profession revamp, there's such a massive difference from like one guy to another and how much they make with herbalism and mining. Because like if you just look at the specialization trees, you have so many options to pick between. And knowing what to pick and what is best, and even if you have the correct specializations, you're probably not aiming for the correct thing, the most efficient thing to do when you're herbing and mining. And I'm going to try to explain how I'm making like 60,000 gold plus. And people out there are making over 80,000 gold now, or even now with the low prices, because they're doing the right thing, right? So I'm in no means not an expert on this, but I got the basics laid out, right? So back in the days, people used to do something like the Rife Bark route, myself included, in the Azure Span, because Rife Bark had a good price. Now, people that are making good gold on herbalism and mining are focusing it around the elemental nodes and herbs. So you guys have probably seen it. There's like Windswept, there's Frigid, there's Infurious ores and veins. There's a ton of like these unique herbs. So right here you have the Windswept Ocean Bloom. That's an elemental herb. There's also regular Ocean Bloom, right? So what you can do is you can use these abilities on these herbs, right? So for this Windswept one, I can use this one called Overload Elemental Herb. And each different element has a different effect, will give you different materials. So you want to use your Overload Herb and your mining one as often as you can. You want to refresh it as often as you can. But you also want to do it efficiently, right? You don't want to spend a lot of time picking up horrible herbs, because that's just going to lower your gold per hour. So basically, what you want to aim for is the ones that are called Titan Touch. Because Titan Touch will give you these bad boys right here, Awakened Order. So if you use your Overload Elemental Herb or Overload Elemental Deposit, you will get a bunch of just free rousing order, right? So it's by far the best to spend it on that one. Not only that, but if you spec into it, it will open up a portal, and that portal will teleport you to the next elemental herb. So it's really, really good. Sometimes you teleport in the middle of mobs. That's not as good. But the thing is, it doesn't stop there. Like, sure, you know that you need to overload the Titan Touch veins and herb because they give you the Awakened Order. But if you guys are unaware of this system, pretty much what it does is that whenever you pick a herb or you mine something, you will reduce this cooldown, because it is a 12-hour cooldown. But each time you mine or herb, that cooldown gets lowered. So in an hour, you can use Overload Elemental Deposit and Overload Elemental Herb many times over. And that's where the specializations comes into place, right? Because if you spec into it, if you look at Mastering the Elements, not only should you max out this, because you will gain additional rousings when you mine, and then whenever you overload, you also gain a random rousing essence. It's just going to give you a lot of rousings, which is the good gold on this, right? And then you can spec into the specific ones. As I said, you want to go for Titan Touched, which, if you see further up, each time you mine any elemental deposit, now reduces the cooldown of overload by an additional 5%. And that takes me to the next step. So let's say that you have used your Overload Herb and mining. You want to use them mainly on the Titan Touched, but like something like Windswept on the herbs is also good, because the price on the Rousing Air is pretty good. And that gives you a ton of Rousing Air. Like you guys can see when I was flying and picking up these herbs, you guys can take a look at my my loot window to kind of get an idea on how insane that was. Right, you get a ton of Rousing Air and also the other herbs as well. So it's really good, but Titan Touch on average tends to be better. But what I do is I pick up whenever I have Overload Herbalism, I usually do whatever I find first. If it's Windswept or a Titan Touch, I just pick any of those. But let's say that you've used both of them, both your Overload Elemental Deposit and Elemental Herb has been used on either Titan Touched or Windswept. Now you need to pick up just like any basic herb or elemental deposit, right? Now what the big boys do is they don't pick up just any herb. Like they wouldn't just pick up this Ocean Bloom, because it's not worth their time. Not only do they reduce their cooldown faster by mining any elemental vein or any elemental herb, but it's also way better because they get bonus rousings from it as well. So right now, your job is just to fly around, find these elemental deposits and elemental herbs, and only focus on those. Now, once again, there are some exceptions. Like if you find like Bubble Poppy, Rife Bark, those expensive basic herbs, it's obviously worth it, as well as Draconium. It's obviously going to be worth it to mine those, right? But in general, you only want to pick up the herbs and mine what has a great value to regain your Overload Elemental and overload elemental herb, because once you've spec'd this out, you're going to regain it relatively fast. So the only thing you care about is maximizing your time only picking up the good stuff. Now, I see that some people are picking up absolutely everything. I tried both. Could be RNG, of course, but I made 45,000 gold when I just mined everything that I saw, but I still used Overload, Elemental Deposit, and Elemental Herb on the good ones, Titan Touch and Windswept. But when I only focused on like the rich deposits and the elemental deposits after having my overloads on cooldown, I made way more, like almost 70,000 gold in the best hour doing this. So I definitely think that is the play, and that is, keep into consideration that that's me with bad specializations. Like with mining, I went mining process into surveying, and then now I started to do the mastering the elements. Same thing with herbalism. Like I went into like rife bark. That was really good gold. And then I went 40 points into botany because, well, I wanted to be able to pick flowers while still being mounted. But just straight up going into mastering the elements in both trees would have made me way more gold. So I definitely should have done that. So if you haven't started it yet on your tune, definitely go that route. Another thing worth mentioning is, as you can see, I was picking up some herbs and veins called Infurious, and that is the PvP version. So you can only find those when you herb and mine with war mode on. And it's nice additional gold, because the Awakened Ire, and the Rousing Ire that you get from mining those and herbing those, they're like 1,000 gold each, right? So it is the second most expensive rousing after the Awakened Order. So that's pretty much it. I probably missed a ton. I just wanted to explain it because it's a question that I get frequently asked. But like in short, just go into mastering the elements. Make sure that you utilize your overloads on good veins and good flowers being Titan touched, and you can also do it on the Windswept. And whenever you have those in cooldown, you want to aim for the good herbs and the good deposits only. And that way, herbalism and mining is, I say, the best way to make gold solo. But that's because it requires the least amount of skill cap. It's region wide. It's relatively easy to set up. So I think for the average Joe, it's definitely the easiest way to make gold solo when farming. Should not be mixed up with gold making in general, like professions, crafting, shuffling, and all of that. But if you simply want to go out and farm, herbalism and mining is still extremely good, but you just got to do it right, pretty much. So if you guys got any additional information that you want to leave under the video to help the boys out, make sure to do so. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I got a couple of more solo ways of making gold. Well, actually, I got a ton of ways coming up soon, so you definitely want to jump on that. And make sure to check out the 0 to 10 million gold guide if you haven't already. And I will see you all back in at the next video. But until then, bye-bye.